Well, hello, you fine gents. Fancy to see you here.
I need 3 more of these.
Oh my god, how was the last 10 minutes of our life?
Well, I was only there for 10 minutes of the 30-minute debacle, but here
Oh,
we
the
are.
the 5 minutes prior, we had a pretty good one.
It's going to go down in the record books.
I did the Hollywood. I quit. Like I'm somebody, right? Like I quit. Do it without me.
And in all reality, me and Tom would go, whatever happened to George?
No, the best. I said that, and Tom just goes, "Gone. See ya." I was like, "Oh."
I was
I forgot.
backstage the whole time.
No, I'm aware. So,
Uh,
Tom, let's get the ball rolling here. You want to run through our socials and all that jazz?
Yeah, folks, welcome to the 1925 New York Giants podcast.
What about the?
He's a new man. He's
You
changing.
get on me for doing the, so I decided to omit it tonight.
I kind of miss it though.
Folks,
You
good evening
really are
and
a
welcome
narcissist.
to 1925, the New York Giants podcast. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube at 1925, the New York Giants podcast, or exclusively at 1925 podcast Big Blue on YouTube. Check out George's jersey there. Love the 56. I'm also wearing 56, but that is not who the guest is tonight. You're in the neighborhood, though. George, we do have, he's not here yet.
Eddie Money. No, Eddie Money.
No.
Is he dead? Is he dead?
No. I've already met Eddie Money.
So our guest tonight is Carl Banks, two-time Super Bowl champion, New York Giants Ring of Honor inductee. He'll be joining the show in a few minutes. He's running a little bit late because, George and Nick, breaking news. New York Giants GM Joe Schoen has agreed to a multi-year contract extension as general manager with the New York Football Giants. How do you like me now?
I'm not sure if it matters, man. I'm telling you, Harbaugh's calling all of them shots. Every single one of them. This dude's just doing the legal work.
Time will tell. I mean,
I told you that there's less GM. There's less people eligible in consideration for that job than coaches. We all agree, right? There's new coaches every year. There's the college ranks. There's 32 teams times 2, 64 coordinators. I mean, there's coaches everywhere. There's not a whole lot of people on this earth you want to put your franchise in your hands of, right? We agree on that. So I think it's the devil you know, the devil you don't know kind of thing. And honestly, I think Joe Schoen has made some really good moves. He's made some ones that haven't paid off too. But I mean, if Jackson Dart ends up being the franchise quarterback for the next 10 years, they're going to talk about that trade up for a long time.
That was a Brian Dable move, though, correct?
Yes.
Right, but I mean, listen, Schoen, Dable has the idea, but Shane's the one that has to bring that to the table. There has to be some salesmen to that job, I would assume, because these guys probably want to get as much as they can get for trades. So, I'm pretty certain Joe Schoen around draft time puts his work in. I will say that.
Well, I'm sure he does, but he's still got that one gleaming error hanging over his head that Giants fans, at least I haven't forgave him. We don't need to go in big details, but we've got Daniel Jones and the Barkley contract. In my opinion, to this day, they should have franchise tagged Jones, gave him a 1 year, prove it, and gave Barkley the contract. We know that didn't happen, and then the rest is history. Daniel Jones, great guy, hell of a player. We're not going to get into anything else.
Yeah, Tom. But you could also argue if you franchise tag Jones and he goes into 22 and he has that same thing, they probably would have re-signed him anyway.
Correct, but you go for basically Jones. In my opinion, he had a good year. He had a good year leading into that contract. Not a great year. Barkley was a generational talent. You put your money where you know the safe contract is, and you say, Jones, go out there, do it again. We did not do that, And like I said, the rest is history. Jones had a lot of injury issues, and from there, it just it didn't work out for him in New York. And that
no details on the contract though.
It just says multi-year as of right now. We know it was a 5-year deal that he originally signed to back in 2022. I don't know how long the extension is for. I'm not going to act or pretend like I do, because the news broke. We found out at 6:57 p.m. We went live at 7. So we're not going to pretend that like we know all the details. This is our initial raw reaction. We'll figure out the rest of that later. But George, you were a proponent of keeping Joe Schoen like mid-year last season, right? Where I was like, let's clean house. You were along the lines of, I think Joe Schoen deserves another shot to be here. And it turned out you were correct.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a very charismatic type GM, as far as I think he wants to put the best team forward that he can. He wants to contribute to that. He's always on the practice field. He's always walking around with the players. Like, he's not just sitting in an office and crunching numbers and trying to moneyball this thing. He's trying to figure out how to get, and you got to remember, a lot of his time with New York was under pretty bad cap restrictions. Some of them self-inflicted, some of them not. I mean, so those draft deals that I think he made, especially with Dart, we'll see how Abdul Carter looks, but I think that's a pretty good deal. I mean, I was happy with that draft. Hindsight being a little 2020, I'm happy with the recent draft. I didn't understand it in the moment, but I started to see a little bit more behind it, and it seems to make sense. And obviously the Maras want him to keep moving this train forward. This is a new generation of Giants football. That's what it is.
Yeah. What a way to start the show, right? 3 minutes before we go live, this news breaks, and it's pretty interesting to see how it pans out. He's done a lot of good. He's done some questionable stuff, but why don't we introduce our guest, George, for the evening?
There he is, number 58, Carl Banks, All-Pro, Pro Bowler, 2-time Super Bowl champion, anchor of the Big Blue Wrecking Crew. Carl Banks in the building.
How y'all doing?
Carl.
How you doing, man?
We're doing
I'm doing
great.
great. Thanks for having me, guys. Sorry I was a little late. I was stranded in Vegas for most of the night last night and got in later this afternoon and was just trying to get caught up on my day. So I apologize for being a few minutes late.
All good.
No
What was going on in Vegas? You win any money?
No, I don't gamble. I was at a licensing trade show, and I was only there for 24 hours and thinking, hey, I'm gonna just jump back on this Delta flight. And I guess all the weather across the East Coast had everything delayed, and at 9:30 flight turned into a 3:30 a.m. flight. So it was a little crazy.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
No.
Are
Carl.
you terrified of flying? I am. George, you can't even get George on a plane.
No, I'm on a plane a lot, so I'm not terrified at all.
We were a little terrified, Carl, because right before the show started, we found out the Joe Schoen news.
Yeah.
What do you think of this? Break this down for us. You're in the booth during the season with Bob doing all this work. You're very close with the team. So what's your breakdown?
Well, I think they felt he did a good enough job, or they feel that he has acquired the right amount of talent to move the team in the right direction. The thing is with general managers, obviously it doesn't matter what we think. They felt that he deserved it. So I'm happy for Joe. I happen to like him. I think he's super smart. But the thing with general managers, none of them bat 1,000. it's the ones that stick out, right? That really make you question whether or not they are deserving of a job, right? You got the Saquon situation and a few other players that go, and it's as fans, you look at those things, but the sausage making, if you will, you don't really dig into. He inherited, and this is not. I'm just giving some information. This is not a defense of his contract or not. That was done, and I didn't make that decision, nor did anyone else. But he inherited a really bad salary cap situation that he had to get the Giants in fiscal shape. That had to happen before they could even think about talent, right? And then the free agents that they were getting during that period were like C-level free agents, just somebody that could duct tape and some stuff and see if they could get by with it, and it just did not look good. The optics weren't great for fans who are dying for something better. And I think over the last 3 years, if you had to judge where this team is roster-wise, you can feel pretty decent about it. Coach didn't work out. Brian Daboll didn't work out. And that's on his record as well. Now, did Brian Daboll have something to do with that? Sure. I think if Brian Daboll would have fired his defensive coordinator, he'd probably still be the coach here. But as it turns out, they got, a winning coach here, a championship coach now, and a roster that they're adding to, and the draft choices they've hit on. So I think they are in decent shape. Again, you can point to a guy like Evan Neal and say, well, he hasn't panned out. Yeah, it happens. What did you replace him with? Is what normally fans want to look at, right? Evan sat the bench. He didn't play a game last year, and the offensive line was top 10. So are we still complaining about him? You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, you want him to be a player, but it's not an exact science picking players. You can go to every single team, including the Philadelphia Eagles. They just, they cover their misses with really big hits. Right. And, this is where the Giants are trying to be. Like, let some of these big hits happen, and we won't worry about the guys that we had to let go or the guys that we didn't extend to a 5-year contract. It doesn't matter. Grades don't matter when your team is winning, right? But when your team is losing, everything gets magnified.
Oh, sure does.
How do you feel about the loss of Dexter Lawrence?
Dexter didn't want to be a Giant anymore. And, for me, Dexter is still one of my favorite. He's a great person, number one, but still one of my favorite Giants all time. He didn't have a great year, but the Giants moved on. He moved on. I actually just did a pod earlier with Solomon Wilcox about because he runs the Believe Bengals podcast, and we were able to catch up. But it's one of these deals where they wanted him to be a part of what they were doing. Dexter was, I can't put words in his mouth, but probably fatigued with the situation of always losing, and so he got a fresh start. And you didn't let a guy go that didn't want to go. They got a 10th pick from it, and they got a very bright
they got
future.
Great value.
Yeah,
right.
No, absolutely.
And so you can't complain about that. Look, Dexter is not a dog in the bad sense. He's had more good years than he's had bad years. He's been great some years, all pro great. right?
Mhm.
And he's disruptive. So hopefully his situation in Cincinnati with BJ Hill, they do some good things. But he's a Bengal now. I don't really, care that much about it to watch and see if he fails or
In the same
succeeds.
way.
Yeah, no, I'm the exact same
But
way.
I wish him the best. And you focus on the guys they got. They got some good guys. They got free agents. They got a guy that I'm looking forward to seeing. He's got some developing to do, but as a rotational player, Bobby Jamison Travis is the guy. When I looked at his film, I renamed him. Instead of BJT, it's BTJ, Bobby Traffic Jam. He caused a lot of pileups at Auburn. So, and I told him at the Giants town hall, I'm like, your new name is BTJ, Bobby Traffic Jam. And he started laughing. I'm like, don't make me eat those words.
I love that.
So focusing on you, Carl, going back, growing up in Flint, what was that like? How did that affect or shape you as a child?
Well, you grow up in a blue collar town, very close knit, population of just under 100,000 people at that time. We put probably per capita more pros in the NBA and NFL than any other city its size. And listen, we were no stranger to hard work. So, my value system was all about hard work, doing little things, and knowing that you got support. My parents were very supportive. I started playing football out of curiosity at about age 9 and loved it and just kept going. And basketball was my first love. But Magic Johnson screwed it up because you had to be 6'9" and a point guard, and I was 6'4" and a half, 6'5", and I was a power forward. So, but we were just a really close-knit community. We all worked hard. I spent most of my high school and college years working in a cemetery at Flint, at Graceland Cemetery in Gracelawn Cemetery in Flint, digging graves in my off season. So you learn some values. You work along some people that were getting a second chance in life. Parolees and ex-prisoners, and so they were very supportive and just kind of gave me a lot of guidance on the do's and don'ts of life. So it was a very, very healthy formative years for me.
That's great. Was there anybody when you were growing up, like a coach or a mentor that really pushed you early on?
Yeah. So Rosie Haywood was my first coach in elementary school, and he taught us a lot. I learned how to tackle when I was like 9 years old. We used to do these drills of just keeping our head up, and not lowering our head to tackle. It was always safety first, but he made the game fun. Everybody got a chance to play every position. And then when I got to high school, I think Moses Lacey was the most impactful human in terms of my sports life. He showed me what conditioning was all about, what discipline was all about. And the beautiful part about that, he was our basketball coach. He was our assistant football coach. He was our assistant track coach, and he was an assistant wrestling coach. So we were never one sport. I would say most of the kids from Flint, Michigan were never one sport athletes. We were all just really great athletes. We ran track, we did all the other things. And I think that also helped us in our versatility in sport that we, chose to play and go to the next level.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I want to pin a quick comment here from Joseph. Joseph says, Carl, love listening to you. Always looked forward on Mondays to hear him on The Fan. Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah, well,
Appreciate
now
that.
you got to catch me on the podcast. No fan, no
Yes.
more for me.
That's right.
But our Believe podcast, Bob and I do it during the season. We do twice a week, recap Sunday, and then later on in the week, like Friday, we do more. So you guys make sure you subscribe to that. It's a lot of informative stuff.
Absolutely. Carl, another question for you. Beecher High School football. What did you learn about toughness there?
Like I said, Moses Lacey was as tough as they come. We learned a lot about winning, not accepting losing. I didn't play linebacker in high school. I didn't play tight end in high school. I played offensive tackle and defensive tackle. And so how I became a linebacker in college was purely off of college coaches watching me play basketball and projecting whether or not I would be a linebacker or a tight end. And when I got to Michigan State, and I was highly recruited. And Magic Johnson's the reason I went to Michigan State, and that was the only reason, because they were coming off of probation and a coaching change. But I went because Magic said it would be the best experience of my life, and I would have a chance to really create a legacy. So playing football at Beecher High School, just playing sports at Beecher High School, you learned, some great values. Our value system was really high in terms of the, respecting the sport, respecting what it required to be good, to be a part of a team, right? Like accountability was a big thing in high school for us. Parents did not get involved. They trusted our coach. And, our coach had no problem coming to the house telling the parent if your son was late for practice, didn't show up for practice, or not working hard, right? So the interaction with our coach was great, right? And we, helicopter parents was like, hey, you do what the coach says or else I'm pulling you off the team. And so we didn't have to deal with a lot of things that some of these kids have to deal with now, because it's, the realities of whether or not you're good enough to be playing more or not. It's plain as day. You come in and you work and you earn your spot. And if you're good enough to be a starter, you're going to play. If not, you're going to support and be ready to play when your number is called. And so, we were state champions in track. Basketball, I never won a state champion, but we were finalists twice. And so, it's good stuff. I was a, all-state shot putter. So we were good, but it was, like I said, my formative years, I had some great people in my life to really help me. And then when I went to Michigan State, and we lost a lot, and I hated losing. And that was just based on my upbringing, right? So I never accepted losing. And then George Perlis took over my junior year at Michigan State, and had just come from the Pittsburgh Steelers, so the standard was high of what his expectations were. I was ready to meet those standards because of just the way I was raised in sport.
So was there when was the moment at Michigan State? You just said that shift in the coaching change, but when was the moment where you thought to yourself, holy shit, I could be in the NFL? Like you're that good.
I don't think I ever had that moment. I see, we have to kind of calibrate how we looked at exposure in the 80s versus where we are now. there was basically one publication called Streets and Smith. It came out twice a year, once in the summer and once at the end of the year. So when you're playing and you know you're a pretty good player in the Big Ten, I was all Big Ten 3 years in first team 3 years in a row, first non-kicker to do it in Michigan State history. But you pick up a Streets and Smith in the summertime, you're not listed going into your junior year. And then you look at it at the end of the year, you're not even honorable mention, and you see all these big name linebackers from the Pac-10, Big 12, and SEC. You don't know. And we were losing at Michigan State. And then my senior year, finished the year, and I was an All-American, but I didn't get invited to any of the major bowl games, right? Senior Bowl, East-West Shrine, all of those games I wasn't invited to. And so my coach, George Perlis, told me, oh, well, let me backtrack a little bit. Going into my senior year, that spring, George Perlis brought Jack Ham into work with me to refine my skill set. That's probably when I felt like coach thinks I could be at a different level. And Jack Ham, I owe a lot of what I do from a fundamental standpoint to him, teaching me how to play the position with great leverage. And, so I finished that year and I still was not invited to any of that stuff. And so George told me that he knows I'm a pro-level linebacker. And he says, but I want to get you some exposure. There's this bowl game that's coached by all NFL coaches. It was called the East-West, not the East-West, what's the one the Blue-Gray game. The Blue-Gray game in Birmingham, Alabama, played on Christmas Day. And he said, you go to that game, I guarantee you by the time you get to this office on Monday morning, you will be invited to the Combine, you'll be invited to the Senior Bowl and all these other places. And so I went there and all the pro coaches were, they coached that game. And when I got back, sure enough, I had a Combine invitation, both Combines at the time, Senior Bowl and the Hula Bowl. So it was just a matter of exposure at a different level. And then, obviously I felt like, okay, I could be a pro. And then when I got to the Combine, I got a chance to see all the guys that were listed in those magazines. And I was like, there's nothing special about some of these guys. They were hyped because they had TV coverage and all the other stuff. At that time, the Pac-12 was big, and wherever Arizona was at that time, Arizona and Florida and all of those guys, Auburn, Clemson, the power conferences,
Right.
all those guys were big names, right? But they were on TV, but I'm looking and, some of them were faster than me. Some of them, weren't as strong as I was. Some of them were stronger than I was, but not as fast. And, Dallas Cowboys had their own unique testing system at the Combine, and Gil Brandt ran this. You guys know the game Simon? It's like a memory recall where it's like a disc and all these lights, and you have to remember all the sequences.
Yep.
They had their version of it, and they took me through it, and I aced it. And later on, after I had become a pro, Gil said that no one had ever done that with the exception of me. And they wanted to draft me. But, I still, I knew I could be a pro, but if I told you I knew I was going to be the third overall pick in the 84 draft, I would be lying. But that's how it worked out. And then when I got to the Giants, they had 4 all-pro linebackers, and the question was, where was I going to play, and what was I going to do to get on the field? And I was no stranger to hard work. So, special teams and all the other things I was going to be good at. And when my opportunity came to play, I was going to prove it. So, I ended up starting by the I would say second part of the year. And I think my first start was against the Rams, and I made a big play, the first play of the game against Eric Dickerson.
Mhm.
And, the rest is what it is,
So what was that like? I mean, you walk in the locker room, you got Lawrence Taylor, Harry Carson. Like, was it welcoming? Was it where it's like, oh, we got to
No,
give this
it wasn't. It
like a
wasn't.
little bit shit?
Lawrence was indifferent. Harry was the guy who said to me point blank, "What the hell are you going to do to get on the field?" And then, it wasn't welcoming, but, I get it. I had to earn it. And I could see why my first practice, that when the veterans were there in minicamp, Lawrence Taylor moved faster than I ever moved in a game. His practice speed was just incredible. So I knew, in order to merge on the Autobahn, I was going to have to get going. So I did it. But I don't think anybody was overtly rude to me, but they weren't exactly welcoming until they knew what I could do.
Yeah, you had to prove it. On top of Lawrence Taylor, what was it like meeting Bill Parcells for the first time? What was that like? What was your first impression of
Bill
him?
was interesting. You see all of these these draft phone calls on TV on draft day, and everybody is like really super excited, and the general manager and the head coach are talking and they're yucking it up with you. My phone call with Bill Parcells on draft day was all of 10 seconds. He says, "Congratulations. I didn't draft you to sit you on the bench. Somebody will be in touch with you."
There you go.
But the thing is, Bill was tough, but it was a crossroads season for him. So my draft class was the beginning of, or the makings of our championship runs and all of our success, because he was going to get fired. He told us in training camp that he was going to be cutting some players that he didn't think we could move forward with, and some of those guys were going to be popular, and that he wanted us to know that he was going to give us everything he got, and the only thing he wanted was us to give him everything we have. And that was kind of the whole Parcells guy thing. And we end up going to the playoffs, a wild card against San Francisco. We lost that. The next year, we're in the NFC Championship game in '85 against the Bears. Following year, we're in the Super Bowl. So Bill was tough. He was fair, but he was tough. He coached like he wanted to be, a great coach in this league, and had a staff that all did the same thing. They were very demanding. They were fair. They were non-compromising on things that were important to winning. And it kind of shaped the way Giants football is supposed to be viewed and played to this day.
Yeah, an absolute legend. He lives like 10 minutes from me, and I never have ran into him. George, I know you have a lot of people that run into him quite a bit.
Yeah, I've seen him 2 or 3 times when he was a little younger. We used to go to the same barber shop at one point in Saratoga. But I never could, he always seemed like he was on a mission to get his hair cut and get out. You know what I mean? So
yeah, if you strike up a conversation with him, and this is the hack in terms of striking up conversation with Parcells, talk about any other sport than football, and then work your way back to football. He's a big basketball fan, loves talking about his horses, obviously, but he's a big basketball and baseball fan. So if you start talking baseball or basketball with him, he may not shut up.
That's great.
That's awesome. Speaking of Bills, Carl, we want to get to Bill Belichick as well. What did he demand from you mentally as a player early on?
I think he didn't. Well, let me just put it a different way. Bill valued smart players. So we all had to know every position on defense. We had to know what every guy did on every single play. We were tested on it, right? So if we were mentally as tough as we were physical. Situational football, we were the best at it. Had a conversation, and I saw some highlights, and I didn't realize how good of a goal line team we were, but it kind of stands to reason why we were, because we practiced it just like we practiced our regular infield defense. Like every adjustment, any and everything that could happen, we drilled it. And, Bill was a guy who was attention to detail, but he was also inquisitive, right? So during the course of the game, you see most of these highlights, he's always got the whiteboard, because he is the guy who wants to know what happened and how it happened, right? And the way his defenses are set up, he can fix it if he knows what went wrong, right? So if one guy had a problem, he could ask two other questions and he could say what adjustment would be. But if a guy was having a problem and he lied about it, he could ask two other guys and he could look at the guy and say, "You're lying, but we can help you if you just tell us what happened to you." And so that was part of our accountability to each other on our defense also. And he was very creative. Obviously, you've seen some of our game plans, and so we could get after it, but he had smart players who he could do those things with. And obviously, our linebacking crew were super athletic. All former basketball players. That's probably why we were so good. Even our backups, like a guy like Andy Head was a hell of a basketball player, and Byron Hunt. But yeah, we were able to do so much.
Who was the best basketball player out of all of you?
Probably Andy Hedden.
Yeah.
Probably Andy Hedden. He was a hell of a basketball player.
Hell of a basketball player.
So going to 1986, you started all 16 games. You had a great season. What was that development like from 84 now into 86? You're still playing alongside Carsons and LT every day. Where was little bits and pieces you were taking from each of them, or were you kind of counterbalancing LT in the scheme? Because obviously he was all over the place.
I don't know if there was a counterbalance to Lawrence. He's just so great. He could just make plays. But for me, it was more of being great at what my responsibilities were, whatever those were, right? I wasn't the guy who would opine for pass rush opportunities. I enjoyed playing coverage as much as I did rushing the passer. I enjoyed playing the run, dominating at that level as much as I did rushing the passer. So I wanted to be great at my core competency, right? And so if it made Lawrence better at what he did, great, because I know everything he did made all of us better at what we did. And so I just think that we all had great opportunities to do things, right? And like I said, we were all required to know everybody's position, including interior line. There were many times where you'd see Pepper lined up over the center, and he basically had to play nose guard, but he was standing up. But he also knew all the blocking schemes. He knew the running back formations. He knew what to anticipate from certain formations, so he could line up there and be very effective. Same with me. we had to do it. Like if you had to go out in a prevent defense situation and play cornerback because Bill wanted a longer, rangier guy out there, you go line up on a wide receiver, you jam and you drop and you play cornerback. That's what we did.
Who was the toughest player you ever had to go against physically and mentally? Who got in your head? Who was just strong?
Wow. I don't think anybody got in our head. If anybody got in our head, it was Randall Cunningham, but it wasn't psyching us out. He was just the ultimate challenge because you just couldn't game plan for him. It was whatever you were going to get on a play-to-play basis. The toughest guy I ever played against outside of Mark Bavaro in practice was probably Donnie Warren with the Washington Redskins. Yeah.
We've talked about those battles with Gary Reasons. I think we asked Mark Collins about it also. The Bavaro Banks in the practice. That must have been stuff a legend to see. I mean, I wish we had footage of that.
Apparently it was, but for Mark and I, it was child abuse. But they start a fucking drill and they put me and Mark in there, and we end up running the whole drill, the whole fucking period. Like it's like okay, put two guys in there, and then all right, Bavaro and Banks, and it's just and. Mark and I would never pre-script anything, and we just wanted to make each other better. And then after the drill was over with, we have a conversation about what he could have done better or what I could have done better. But it literally, we would be two reps into a one-on-one drill or a 9-on-7 drill, and Parcells would be like, "Okay, Banks Bavaro." And then, they both, the tight end coach, Mike Pope and Al Groh, my linebacker coach, and Belichick, they're there coaching it, and they're like, run it again. And it's just, it was stuff of legends for the people who were watching because the fucking practice, it just stopped and they just watched us go. Mark and I talk about it all the time, but it made us all better,
I was just about to say.
I think Leonard even told us he still gets a chuckle when he sees a Bavaro and a Carl Banks jersey next to each other. Like it's still
It's actually when we are broadcasting, there's these two people that sit right next to each other for years, and they had a Banks Bavaro jersey on. I used to always take a picture of it every week and send it to Mark via text message.
That's incredible. What are the odds? And Carl, you mentioned how that made both of you better. I mean, you had one of the greatest runs in the '86 playoffs.
It made us. Let me just say better. Let me phrase it differently. It made us the best at our positions. We were the best in the league at our positions. We made each other that.
Right. And I guess, what do you attribute that to, your run in '86 and making you one of the best players in the league? And, obviously you follow that up in '87 with an all-pro season as well.
Just wanting to be great. That's all. Wanting to be absolutely dominant, and if you can take anything from being a teammate of Lawrence Taylor, you want to be dominant. You want to dominate, right? And if he could do it, I could do it, Leonard could do it, then it just becomes contagious. And, not just being dominant, but being the best at it. And that was my thing, right? I might be the other guy, but you're going to have a problem, with me, and I'm going to be, impossible to block. And that's how it ended up.
That whole defense was a problem, front to back.
Yeah.
I mean, your cornerbacks were scary big moves. Like, I don't think people realize in today's game, but I mean, the Big Blue Wrecking Crew was terrifying. I don't care. They're lying if they're not. I mean, Ron Jaworski was running scared on that field.
Yeah, I think that was something, George, that we took great pride in. as a defense and just making players quit. Like we would come off by the end of the first quarter, we would literally take like a poll on whose player is ready, whose guy is ready to quit in front of them, and then before halftime, guys are saying my guy just quit, or my guy just quit, or this guy's ready to quit. They're not gonna be able to do anything with this guy because he's gonna be done. That was the level of toughness. I don't want to say ruthlessness, but it is an element of ruthlessness that we want to beat you so bad that you don't want to block us, or we know you quit because you're telegraphing every play. Every time you've got to block me, I know because you're nervous, or, so that's when we know. And then at some point during the course of the game, they're just like, they let go of the rope.
So not only were you a great defensive player, but you also caught a touchdown, which I think is incredible. Jeff Hostetler against the Eagles, the fake special teams play time? You got that? Look at this.
Yeah.
That's not Tommy DeVito, folks. That's Jeff Hostetler. Look at that.
So
spike on the way down.
The story behind that particular play, I don't know if that clip showed you the guy who's rushing off the edge. So this guy, Andre Waters, they used to call him Muddy Waters or Dirty Water. He was always the guy that would come off hard, cut somebody. He was a little play to the edge. I don't want to call him dirty. But he always went hard. And at that time, there were no rules that said you can't cut a guy on either side of the football. But, he was that guy. And so I had this idea once we put the fake in, Bill was like, will we be able to run this? And I said, yeah. So I line up and I just line up and I start talking shit to Waters. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking cut your legs. And you fucking run in here. I'm gonna fucking cut you. And he's talking trash. So I knew he was gonna go full out, right? And so I just wanted to ensure that he was just gonna sell out. And sure enough, he did. He trash talked me and he ran in there like he was going to block the punt. And I just released, and Jeff threw me the football. So it was set up perfectly because, he was always the guy that was always in there just torpedoing everything. And that's what we needed him to do on that particular play. So I ensured it by talking trash to him and, telling him I'm going to cut him so that I knew he was going to come down low and just dive through. And sure enough, he did it, and we were able to get that play.
He took the bait.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what we did too defensively was psychological warfare too. We could do some things to really get you off your game.
Who was the biggest shit talker on your team?
Probably Elvis Patterson.
Elvis Patterson.
Or Pepper. Pepper talked trash.
Yeah. Didn't Leonard say that
Pepper's
too?
like our universal answer. Everyone says Pepper.
Yeah.
That nice. You guys had a lot of great players on that defense, Carl. But how did you sustain that success in terms of evolving between 21 into 25 against the Bills? From 86 to 90. How did you guys sustain that high level?
It was pretty easy. It was a standard. Like, we wanted to be great. It wasn't a matter of, we got one, we're good. No, let's go and continue. It was the standard. It was the expectation. Because after the loss to the Bears in 85, we knew that there was another level to go. And once we hit that, we weren't going to stop. We wanted to continue to dominate. And, we had, I think, a good 7-year run of just making the playoffs and being in the thick of it every year. So that was our mantra. We weren't one-hit wonders. We were going to be good for a long time. And we held every new player that came in, whether he was drafted or free agent, We held everybody to the same standard. They knew when they walked through the door, this is how Giants football is played.
Going into that Super Bowl against the Bills, I mean, their high-powered offense. I mean, you guys figured it out to a T. Like was that all pre-planned, just working out, or was that mixed in with some changes? Obviously, like with halftime.
No, that was walking into the game. We knew exactly how we wanted to play them. The genius of Bill Belichick. In the NFL, and it probably still holds true to this day, there's a thing called tendencies and there's a thing called trends. They use analytics for it now, but if you do something over a 3-game period or a 4-game period, it goes from a tendency to a trend. And what we noticed at over a 6-game period, the Buffalo Bills only ran the ball on draw. Everything else was a swing pass to Thurman Thomas, and that was their running play. They throw it to him in the flat, and he'd run and get 5, 6, 7 yards every time. So that was kind of their spread offense at the time, where the ball was out in a hurry. So trying to get a sack or putting big people in the game to try to impact how their offense is a fruitless exercise, because we looked at the Raiders game, and I think they scored almost 50 points on the Raiders. And with the Raiders, before they could get to the bottom or to the top of their pass drop, the ball was out and the receivers were off and running. So what Belichick did, once he knew that the run game was not a threat, and we just had to guard against the draw play, is how would we stop the pass? And he says, okay, we're going to line up in our drops. We're not going to drop. We're going to line up 7 to 8 yards deep where we would normally be. So when the ball is snapped and the ball comes out of the quarterback's hand, we're waiting on those crossing routes. It's not a matter of them catching the ball behind us. They're going to catch it in front of us, and we were going to pound them. And that's what we did. So we beat the shit out of Andre Reed. Thurman, listen, if Marv Levy would have smartened up a little bit more, they probably win the game, because I think Thurman ended up with 100 yards. And, Bill said that we were going to let him get 100 yards, because if he gets 100 yards, they're not passing. Yep. But, they didn't start running the ball until it was too late. They still were dead set on figuring out how to pass the ball on us, but we were pounding them so much, their wide receivers. It just, Andre didn't want to catch the ball over the middle anymore, So every one of their receivers, we were in position when the ball was out. We could see them, we could drive on them and hit them. And, the Buffalo Bills were just such a good team. Their defense was really good too. Obviously, you got a field goal missed. And listen, if they make that field goal, we tip our hat to them, because they played a hell of a game. But I give Sean Landeta a lot of credit for the punt that started them way back. And we played enough defense, and we knew what the kicker's range was, and it panned out for us. But, if Sean doesn't hit a good punt, it probably ends up a different game, because, you take the same amount of yardage and you add another 10 to it. If they get another 10 yards on a punt return, or the ball comes up shorter on their starting position, field position, they probably have enough to win the game. So, I mean, it was a 3-phase game for us: offense, defense, and special teams.
Full game. What was it like being on that sideline, though? Those 5 minutes, you see Norwood come out there. He's going to kick, 40, 47
I was on
yards?
the field.
Okay.
We kind of, again, we prepared for everything. So we knew at third down, you could probably ask some of the guys that were on the sideline, but the discussion was made. What's his range? What's his range? Where do we have to get to stop? And they call a defense based on where we need to get to stop. And, you hear Sean talk about it a lot, Landetta, because he was kind of the guy who gave the information in terms of special teams. And, Sean said his range is X. He's not going to make this. And sure enough, he missed it.
It's wild.
Yeah, that must have been a iconic moment. I watched that on VHS, and I don't know if I could have lived through that at home. But Carl, you played about a decade for the Giants, and right after you left the Giants, you remained close with LT. In fact, you walked out with him at WrestleMania 11.
Yep.
When he fought Bam Bam Bigelow. What was that experience like for you, running out right there like that?
Man, listen, I'll tell anybody, when Vince McMahon was running WWF, it was the most incredible experience, fan and participant wise. He really knew how to create a great show. And even, when we had the pre-match meetings, he told us what the rules were, what the expectations were. And at that time, he's like, look, WWF is a family oriented. We don't do blood. So you football players don't go for blood, and it was just an incredible experience.
I remember watching that live. My dad had the illegal box. You flip the switch on the back, and all of a sudden you got the pay-per-view. So, obviously I'm rooting for LT. I felt like the luckiest kid in the world. Like, what kid has his favorite football team, in the main event of WrestleMania? And then when you just see all the bad motherfuckers that pour out, Kenny Norton, Ricky Jackson, was
Chris
Mike
Billman.
Singletary one of those?
Chris Billman, Reggie White.
Reggie White. That's
Reggie
what the
White,
minister.
Yeah.
I was just like, holy shit, this is incredible. And obviously looking back on it, it must have been pretty hard for LT to do that. It's hard to wrestle a guy that size to begin with, but just shows his athleticism.
Well, it was a lot of fun. They trained a lot for it, though.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
So looking back on your Giants years, what was your proudest moment overall?
I would say, without a doubt, Super Bowl 21 and then Super Bowl 25 as a player. And then obviously being inducted into the Ring of Honor was a really, really big moment for me.
Yeah.
All right, so we only have you for a few more minutes, so we're going to get into Starter, if you don't mind. You've been heavily involved in the rebrand of Starter. What attracted you to that side of the business in general?
I started in the sports licensing business in 1988, 87. I got my first license from the NFL to do big and tall leather jackets. What got me in the space of Starter had just entered the NFL in 86, I believe. And I was one of the first players that they signed. And it was such a transformative time in sports apparel and how sports was presented. And David Beckerman, the founder of Starter, had a vision for how he wanted coaches to look, how he wanted players to look, and how they were represented. And as a result of that, fandom became fashionable. Fans wanted to actually wear some of the stuff that they were seeing on the sidelines. And, obviously the two Starter jackets, the satin jacket and the pullover breakaway were iconic to this day. And, there's so many people, I say they have Starter stories. Everybody has a Starter story,
We all have one. Growing up, I showed my wife this. No offense. She had no idea what Starter was. I showed her the Charlotte Hornets jacket that every kid in my neighborhood wore growing up. Nobody was
Yeah.
even a Charlotte Hornets fan, but they loved the jacket. It looked
Yeah.
awesome.
Exactly.
And she goes, "Oh my God, I know exactly what you're talking about."
Yeah.
So yeah,
my
absolutely iconic.
favorite jacket was the Harper Whalers. To this day, it's still my favorite.
The Hartford Whalers. Rest in
Yeah.
peace.
So
W.
as we enter, and I don't know if you guys are following the Giants website or their X page, but we're relaunching an 86 collection. All the pieces that are in the collection, the starter collection, are pieces from the 86 year, the 40th anniversary of our team. The original locker room tee, which is available on Fanatics right now.
We got him right here.
There's the Parcells Parker. That's the Parker that Bill wore all season. The red Belichick jacket. I'm gonna give you guys, before I jump off, I'm gonna give you the reason that jacket is so important to our success. So when most all the teams the coaches wore one color jacket,
Right.
And so Bill, being the strategic thinker that he is, he's like, we have to have some type of signal during like 2-minute drills or when the game gets hectic, and I need to figure out how to get our signals in. So he ended up wearing this red jacket, and people didn't realize it, but like in the heat of a moment, if we wanted to know what the call was, we could see the guy in the red jacket. It was him most of the time, but every once in a while it would be somebody else. So, you would have these coaches in blue jackets giving all these signals, but we were focused in on the guy in the red jacket. He was the guy that was giving us our signals. And so hence that's called the Belichick red jacket.
That's smart. And actually,
Yeah.
I have this right here.
There you go. Is that an original?
That's an original. That's a single stitch from '86.
Yep.
So that's a
That's the OG locker room tee right there. I have that in plastic. That piece right there that you just showed is available on Giant Shop or shopgiants.com. You guys can get it now. That's a piece of history. Hold that up again so people can see. It's that's the locker room t-shirt right there.
Yeah.
That we got after we won the thing. Yep. It's available now.
I have to buy the new one
Beautiful.
because this one doesn't fit me anymore. But
Yeah, put that in plastics. Preserve that. I have 2 of those preserved in plastic right now.
That's
So,
awesome.
That's amazing, Carl. Well, we know you have to jump. Thank you so much, George. Nick, you have any?
thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks,
Carl,
man.
thank you so much. And by the way, you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Everyone should know that also.
Yes.
We didn't get
We'll see what happens.
You deserve it.
Completely agree.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Have a good night,
Thank
Carl. Thank
Have a
you.
great night.
Good night, guys. Thank you
Good
so
night.
much.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Carl
That was-
Banks, everybody.
Carl Banks, guys.
He cursed more than me, Tom.
Yeah,
I
fuck you.
know that was really surprising.
Told ya.
By the way, I really wanted to post this one as well, but I know we're a little short on time. This photo is badass
Yeah.
right here. You want to talk about
So-
starter?
So take
Yeah.
your steel curtain, shove it up your ass. The 85 Bears, shove it up your ass. It ain't ever going to look as cool as these 3 in front of some Escalades, smoking Cubans in the starter jacket. Not happening.
There's nothing better.
Not
than that.
happening. We don't have to run. Carl had to run. We still have a few things to go through. Any comments from the class, Thomas?
We do. Shout out Uncle Jesse. That's 3rd time tonight driving by with the motorcycle.
Who's
Sam-
Uncle Jesse? Show us. Don't show us.
You bastard. Shout out to my good friend Sam Cardona saying, OMG, the Carl Banks. So sick. You see how she wrote the in all caps, George? She's watching. She's listening.
She's a fan of the show.
Dad,
You paid her.
Tudo.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Get my glasses on for this.
Massive salute and respects to Big Tommy and D legend Carl Banks. Greetings from our entire club in Italy. Cheers, lads. He's not in Wales tonight. I thought he might be
Tudo.
in Wales.
Tudo, you're a friend of the show. We love it. But I'm George. That's Nick. You can say hello to us too, not just Big Tommy. Okay.
Yeah, Tudo, we're people too, you fuck.
No, Tudo's awesome.
I know, Tudo's
I would
great.
love to know, Tom. You're a little more, let's just say, educated than me. You could put Tudo's comment back up. Do you know why he spells it Massiv versus IV? Like, do you know why the spelling is different? Is that like a European thing, like a slang thing?
I don't know. I just
Just-
thought it might be an Italian thing.
Just slang,
Oh.
just keeping it real.
Any other comments from the class, Tom? Very cool. Carl being on the WWE.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That was pretty cool. I was
Yeah.
pumped when I was a little kid.
Yeah, man. And what a night, too. I mean, we had the Joe Shane breaking news minutes before we went on. We almost fumbled the bag with our setup. I mean,
We had
almost
a
broke
pre
up.
we had a pre-show fight.
I
Well, that
missed
wasn't
it.
really Nick. Nick was just being an aloof person trying to get his computer working, but me and Tom had a full-blown like argument.
it's the stress of the beast. It's, big guest tonight. We wanted to make sure we were all squared away.
Thank you again, Carl Banks.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you, man.
I wasn't blowing smoke up his ass. That dude needs to be in the Hall of Fame. He's
Yes.
put together he put together a great career, and he didn't really embellish it a lot tonight. He has a lot of class the way he speaks and everything, but he was a cornerstone and an anchor of those championship teams. You could almost argue they don't win without him.
And his headshot too. I mean, look at this sick headshot. Like this right here. This face deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, look at that
100%.
dude.
Dude.
That is a badass linebacker, number
100%,
58. Who, by the way, I didn't know this. He looked up to Jack Lambert as a kid growing up, and apparently that's a big reason why he chose
Number
number 58.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
Absolute
So,
legend. Class act.
Tom,
George.
what else do you want to do right now, Tom? Where are we at? We're gonna do some plug-in. What are we doing?
Well, folks.
What do we got going on coming up?
We have a couple of
Yeah.
things. We have some irons in the fire. We do have May 30th. We have the Brian Burns softball charity softball event. Should be around 100 Giants playing. Dodgeball, home run derby. There's a card show, trading card show, run by LPG and Brian Burns for the Hype for Life Foundation. We're going to be there. Nick and I will be there at that event.
2/3.
We,
Tom's
we
got
hope-
other. I was just gonna say we invited Tom, but Tom's got other things going on, family
Yep.
things he cannot make it. Go ahead, George.
we're looking forward to meeting some fans and making some new fans, and that's where this little guy. So we're gonna have these, all right. Class, pay attention. We're gonna have these. We're gonna hand them out. All right. If you're a new someone never heard of us or anything, all you have to do, scan that QR code right there, leads you to our socials. All right. If you like or follow the Instagram at that point, just send us a photo of this, DM us the photo of you with the card, and it will put you in an entry for a Plaxico Burris signed helmet. It is authenticated by Beckett. It's his signature right here. PS17 inscribed. And that is it. We're going to run a little giveaway. We'll work out some of the details of when we're going to stop it by, but we look forward to meeting everybody and taking in a great game and seeing some Giants legends.
And that helmet is so authentic; it even has some gun residue from the day he shot himself. Fun fact.
Oh, Nick.
That part's not true.
That may not be true.
That's not true.
Okay.
But I do
mean,
have a pair of Antonio Pierce's pants that does have gun residue on it because he was next to him.
Tom's.
Or something with Ahmad Bradshaw.
What do you mean?
Was he-
Bradshaw was there that night.
Yeah, he was there. Bradshaw got out of there like a cockroach when you hit the fucking lights, though. AP
said-
held that down.
My
He said
dad
no-
asked if that
no
helmet
tanks.
comes with the gun.
No. I mean,
Oh.
I don't know the logistics of giving out a 9mm in New York nowadays. I don't think Hochul and Mom Dami will be friends of mine. Not that they're friends of mine anyway, but they wouldn't like me any further, I'm sure.
Great show, guys. Glad you guys got along so well. Hall of Famer, Giant. Giant for life, even though he spent some time with the Redskins and the Browns. It's a business at the end of the day, right?
Once a Giant, always a Giant, right? Anything
Like
else we
he
got
said.
going on? Father's Day?
You want to talk about Father's Day a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk about Father's Day.
So we at 1925, with Father's Day coming up, we wanted to give back something special to our fans, you guys. A little bit of a, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but I thought it was a really cool idea. Nick likes it. We're both dads. We pull our hair out. It drives us crazy. So the week of Father's Day, we don't have a showtime or date yet. So was that June 15th through June 21st?
Something like that.
That's the week?
Yeah.
We're going to have right here on 1925, the New York Giants podcast, we're going to have Leo Scadaboo, Cam Scadaboo's father. He's going to be live on the show, and we are going to talk all things Scadaboo. Could you imagine talking to the guy that raised Cam Scadaboo? Like, think about that for a second. Just like what that must have been like.
George, nothing surprises me about you anymore. I mean, what you're able to pull off, and Leo Scadaboo is just another great get. Great get.
No, it takes three. We all do our part in this thing. It's like a car, We got the motor, you got this, you got that. It all takes all three. The only thing I wish I could have told Carl was the whole reason we had him on the show was because the Knicks were kicking the shit out of the Bulls. Because I think that's the greatest part of the story. I'm sitting there half cocked at a Knicks game. They're up by 55. No one cares about the game, and I'm like, Carl Banks. Yeah, he won't answer.
Next
day, like, hey.
Next time you'll have to bring that up. You'll have to start with that.
Yeah.
So if you've learned nothing tonight, drink lots of alcohol and then make your decisions based off of how much alcohol you've drank. Right? I think that's fair to say.
If there's one thing I've learned in this personal journey with you two, my good friends, Eddie Mata said, "Welcome to the world of rejection." Truer words cannot be spoken. So when we're doing this thing and we're trying to line up guests or promotion stuff, I mean, we get burned all the time or seemingly burned, and then it just pops into your lap. So we'll keep rolling.
Well, then sometimes people call you and then you can't get a hold of them afterwards. It's a weird world, like it really is, but it's fun.
We're not going to say who the player is, but we did have another get, and when the said player left the voicemail, it was on a restricted number, and then didn't leave a callback number. So we were like, "Ooh, this is fun."
I don't know what to do, so I hope you call me.
I don't really feel like driving through, New Jersey, knocking on doors trying to find them. So hopefully that'll come to fruition eventually. Because he would have been a monster get as well.
Short player.
Yeah. We're doing hints now.
I don't know.
1,000-yard rusher.
Well, you just gave the position away, George.
Well, you could do like 900 end arounds.
Yeah, but Leo Scadaboo's awesome. I'm really pumped for that. I mean, Carl Banks, Leonard Marshall, Gary Reasons, Mark Collins, Perry. I mean, within 4 months, it's been a
and not to mention the influencer side too, with Adriana, LPG, Giant Singh, Craig Santucci, Eddie Mata. I mean, now we're firing on all cylinders. Pre-show, it's a little scary.
Well, backstage it's a fucking mess, but here we try our best. And
I wish sometimes if anyone's out there and you're smarter than all three of us, join the team and handle that shit for us, so we could just nicely come on and have a good time. Because the 15 minutes before a show is so goddamn fucking stressful.
What about Samantha? What about Samantha Cardona? She seems to have her shit together.
Yeah, she does probably.
Yeah.
Help us with that stuff. We'll do the rest.
That's my old co-host, Nick.
Oh, okay, Sam, please do all the work for us. We're struggling.
Me and Tom literally having a blowout argument.
Get her on the payroll.
and Nick's microphone's not working, and Carl wasn't here yet, and it was like 7:50 or 6:50, like 3 maybe.
Everyone's got to know about our problems. Yep, and it's no secret to anybody.
Who do you want to call Danny?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, I guess not Nick, but
Mediator.
probably you.
But yeah,
It'd be
no.
really weird if I called Danny, but yeah.
We should do that. Give you his number. Be like, yeah, you said call Danny.
He said call him. Here I am. What's up, man?
All right, great stuff tonight, Carl Banks.
Yes.
Once again, thank you so much. I mean, sound like you had a really busy couple of days, and he still took the time out to go on our show. So
truly appreciated. He had to reschedule because of that photo shoot, and I completely understand why. I would ditch us fucking dweebs too for those legends, and but he honored it. He came back. He was a class act. He was great, and yeah, thank you, Carl. I appreciate it.
And he cursed more than we did, which I think would have, like, we should have put that as a line in Vegas. Like we would have made money.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Carl Banks, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us now and missed it, we will have the show up on replay for you. But to do that, you're going to have to subscribe to our YouTube channel at 1925 Podcast Big Blue, or check us out on Instagram and Facebook at 1925 The New York Giants Podcast. Thank you all for all of the comments tonight. Scan that QR code like George is holding up there. And fellas, I think there's only one thing left to do. Cheers.
You have a beer? No?
I don't have a beer because of that